So it was about 2 years ago, and I sat down to Google God. It was at a time where I was really desperate. When my husband's business grew, and it grew fast, we were starting to get big where you feel the weight, and we began to take some pretty big risks financially. And as the time went on, I felt like my decisions weren't good enough. We weren't doing the right things. I no longer felt smart enough. All those years that I had defined who I was by how successful I'd been was gone. I was not just lost, but I was in pieces. Whatever I was or whatever I thought I was just wasn't enough anymore. And I was in a really dark place, the kind that you want to crawl in a closet and hide and hope you're invisible. I didn't know where to go.
I started to realize, I believe at the same time that Steph was just struggling with our business. I started getting convicted, and God was putting on my heart that you need to share this. You had this close relationship with me, and you've let it wane, and you need to lead this family through this tough time that your wife is having, and your kids don't even really know me.
I was searching for churches nearby, and I found a church called Westridge. I think I listened to 6 months of these messages before I even stepped foot in the church. And one day I had a little extra time, and I drove to the church, and I thought, this doesn't look like a church. I didn't grow up in a church. I'd only seen them. So I went home and I said, Mike, I have seen this church. It's huge, and we could go. We could go to this church, and no one will know us, and we'll sit in the back, and we could be completely anonymous. And so it wasn't long after that. It was December 29th, 2014. We got ready, and we went into, I think, the 11 o'clock service. And at the very end, whoever is speaking says, if you've never put your faith and trust in Jesus, and if you're looking for peace and you feel lost, then you can do this now and you can have that prayer. And I did, because I was done. I was over. I was over all of this stuff. And we went back, except we sat a little bit closer this time. So all this point of thinking that you're gonna sit in the back and use that 1 hour a week, you find that it doesn't fill you up, not enough. And so the next thing we know, they're making an announcement about auditions for worship, and Mike plays drums. And so we're like, hey, you should go do this. So he did.
So here I am pulling out my drums out of the closet after not playing for 20 years and being able to play with the band and help other people worship. I mean, here I was just wanting to go experience, Sunday church. Then all of a sudden, here I am trying out and helping other people that are coming to Westridge for the first time experience God and worship God. I mean, that was just blew my mind.
So I started serving. I ended up working with guest services. I enjoyed meeting people and having a chance to talk with people when I first started in the help center. It's funny because all the things that I thought I never had time for, I've made time for this.
And then we saw this promo for Starting Point, and it had to do with taking your family or as a couple going and meeting other people. We knew that we wanted to be more than just Sundays, and they were supposed to match you up with other local couples and people going to church that were in different stages of following Christ. And Steph was like, do you want to do this? And like, absolutely. Here we are, a year of going to group, and group meets during kind of the school year. In the summer, we're off. But all of a sudden, a few weeks into it, we realized that we missed everyone that we were with. And we were like, how about everyone come over to our house? So here we are, a year after going to Westridge that we thought was just going to be Sundays. And we have the biggest group that we've ever had at our house just to eat dinner, just to catch up with them and find out how their lives are going. I mean, the small groups are it's just amazing. I mean, it's it definitely is living life together.
So what we originally intended to hide, it didn't work. And the more that we served and we were part of Starting Point, this is really what God intended. This is really what He had planned for us all along.